Well, I missed this story a little bit. Not really. I should have done it the day before when I got it, but anyway, Oregon, they have this new set of rules that kicks in. It kicked in on Saturday, so uh, there you go. Let me just explain to people that might not know. This takeover specifically basically hands Oregon's recreational marijuana, which was being allowed to be sold before the law actually kicked in through the dispensary system that handled the medical marijuana. So currently, none of this stuff is in motion. And when I read this story, I might mention that Michigan's trying to do some re-regulations of their medical marijuana laws. And what worries me and a lot of others is not necessarily the new laws or the fees or the fines or any of this stuff, but the implementation time and what's going to happen in between the implementation time and the time that that they say we're going to start implementing, and B, the real time when they were supposed to start implementing but they're not. Uh, or the implementation is not complete. Will they be clear about what they're going to do, or will there be more arrests? All these concerns everybody has them. So I'm reading out of, I believe this came from the Oregonian, if I'm not mistaken, or the Bulletin, one or the other. But we have a story called Oregon Begins Recreational Marijuana Sales on Saturday by Ben DiPietro. I wish I could pick stories that had authors whose names I could actually pronounce, but I never do. Somehow I just never do. But they're all great stories, and these are great authors. So read Ben DiPietro. Two agencies that regulate Oregon's marijuana industry approved rules to allow retailers to keep products on their shelf that don't meet the new testing, packaging, and label standards that takes effect Saturday, the first day recreational marijuana stores can open for business. Products that don't meet the new standards could have been removed from the stores, but Oregon Liquor Control Commission and the Oregon Health Authority agreed that if licenses don't yet have pre-approved packaging and labels, they may use generic packaging and labeling until their packages and labels are approved by the OLCC, again the Oregon Liquor Control Commission, who are taking over the recreational. In lieu of these new regulations, it looks like a lot of what they're taking over is being able to actually control the new regulations. And there's also the health department, I think it was. Yeah, Oregon Health Authority. So there you have it. The 26 recreational marijuana retailers licensed by the state that are currently there, and some that could be open for business as early as Saturday, say that they're all right on time and they're ready. It's October 1st and we're ready. He's saying they all have packaging that's good for the new law and ready to stick it on whatever they got. Retailers have complained of a backlog in getting approvals for labels and packages, and they said that there were only a few labs capable of testing the new, more stringent standards. Mr. Marks said in a conference call with reporters on Friday that the state is caught up with testing, and that 4 of the 10 laboratories presented licensed by the state are capable of conducting pesticide testing as required under the new updated rules. I think there's also for fungus or fungicide or whatever too. More labs will be accredited in the coming weeks, he said. To remain on shelves, products produced before October 1st must clearly state that they were tested under the old regimen and must leave stores in child-proof packaging. By allowing retailers to sell products produced before October 1st rules kick in, the state will provide a smooth transition for retailers to sell existing product, and for those medical dispensaries that want to transition into recreational license, said Nathan Ricks, a senior policy analyst at the commission. To date, the OLCC has approved a total of 326 licenses in the following categories: producers, processors, wholesalers, retailers, and labs. A little different than Michigan, but not much. While recreational sales Offer officially begins Saturday. Medical marijuana stores have received waivers to sell recreational products temporarily until retailers could be licensed. Oregon voters approved medical marijuana in 1998 and recreational in 2014. So there's what I was talking about with the slow rollouts and the implementation being slow. They got these deadlines, and we'll see. So the OLCC also passed a temporary rule to give it more control over the names of various marijuana product strains to make sure they are not aimed at minors by referring to toys, movies, cartoons. The commission cited example products with names such as Girl Scout cookies, Candyland, Smurfette. Candyland's a well-known children's board game, in case you didn't know. Cartoon character Skywalker and Jedi Kush from Star Wars, references to characters from the Star Wars movies. It's a move to regulate words, Mr. Marks said. Of about 500 strain names already reviewed, fewer than 20 names had to be changed. I'm guessing they're being creative with how they change the names, so you can still kind of tell what it is. It's kind of a weird thing, but I don't really have a problem with it. Some of these marijuana regulations are just like overkill on, oh, we got to protect the kids. I mean, it's all overkill if you ask me, but whatever. I mean, if you got to bend a little bit because these people are really just want total prohibition in the long run. As for testing, the commission will permit a smaller number of batches in each harvest lot to be tested. Even though the new rules mandate testing for all batches in a lot. As testing capacity grows at the existing licensed labs and those still awaiting license, the state expects to gradually increase testing. And I hope that this isn't like the bottleneck that slows medicine down or makes it more expensive because everybody is mandatory testing now. To protect medical users of marijuana, the the Oregon Health Association, or whatever that was, is the OHA is prioritizing testing for those products. The agency is responsible for developing and implementing testing rules for both medical and recreational marijuana. So you have another story by Joseph Ditzler from the Bulletin talking about the rules going into effect. Throughout the state, only 5 labs are licensed and certified, including one, Juniper Analytics, in Bend, Oregon. Oregon, I don't know how to pronounce it. Someone told me over the summer, but I forgot already. All right, the lack of licensed labs is creating a bottleneck as marijuana growers and processors line up to test marijuana they can stock after Saturday. Few dispensaries will have new products for their shelves. As a temporary fix, states allowing dispensaries continue to sell old products. Consumers will not see shortages, although prices may eventually rise. Jerry Quitt, owner of Bloomwell Dispensary on Division Street, said Thursday. That doesn't mean retailers, processors, and others involved behind the scenes aren't frustrated. The slow pace of licensing marijuana businesses and approval of packages and labeling is creating delays, confusion, and added expense, Quitt said. Now, like I said, Michigan, keep your eyes on this, or it's already been something to watch for a while. Do you really trust the Michigan government to be able to have all these regulatory bodies or regulatory functionalities in place when the deadlines get here? I mean, we hope they do, but we don't know. We can only wait. Every aspect of every element of the industry is unprepared, he said, including the regulators. A message left with the OLCC was not returned Thursday. Quitt said he purchased 900 generic labels to paste over vendors' labels to meet with what he perceived as a state requirement. According to the health authority, all marijuana items must be packaged in labels approved by the OLCC by October 1st. That can't happen. They're already backlogged. Anyway, only one of the many vendors that apply for Bloomwell and its products have been provided approved labels, Quick said. He and his employees will now be replacing the remainder themselves with generic labels at a labeling party. I'm sure there was a lot of those going on Friday night or whenever. Alright, dispensaries starting Saturday must also use child-resistant packaging, which many already do. Another Saturday deadline that called for the Oregon Department of Agriculture to license the kitchens where edible marijuana products are made was moved to January 1st. The Oregon Health Authority extended the deadline in order to maintain a supply of products for medical marijuana patients while processors work toward compliance with new regulations. At Top Shelf Medicine, Northeast Greenwood Avenue dispensary, owner David Ordonez said he's prepared for October sales but slightly confused by the challenging deadlines in the marijuana business. The regulatory environment, he said, is slightly intimidating right now. We're all scared to say stuff, he said. So I guess that's why you don't get much of a quote. Well, we're going to keep following that one again. And just to let you know how things are going in Oregon, we have a Oregon by the Numbers by Noel Crombie from the Oregonian or the Oregon Live. So by the numbers, 134 million is the estimated value of recreational marijuana sold between January and the end of July. 33.5 million is the tax revenue generated by recreational marijuana sales from January, when the state imposed a 25% tax, through the end of July. Estimated number of Oregon communities that will vote in November on whether to add a local sales tax to recreational sales, 106. 380 is medical marijuana dispensaries selling to recreational consumers statewide currently. 148 is Portland medical marijuana dispensaries selling to recreational consumers. 1,419 applications the state has received for recreational licenses of all types, including producer, processor, wholesaler, lab, and retailer. 320 applications that the state has received for retail licenses. 12 is the estimated number of marijuana stores that the Oregon Liquor Control Commission expects to license this weekend. $9.16 is the average price of a gram of marijuana flower sold on the Oregon recreational marijuana market between January and June. 1 ounce is the amount of marijuana anyone 21 and older can buy from a licensed recreational marijuana store. Existing dispensaries selling on the recreational market for now can continue to sell up to a 1/4 ounce of flower to anyone 21 and older. 200 is the calls related to marijuana received by the Oregon Poison Control Center between January and June. I wonder if that has increased or not. 158 calls related to marijuana received by the Poison Center last year. Sources for that are the Oregon Department of Revenue, Oregon Health Authority, Oregon Liquor Control Commission, Oregon Poison Center, and the BDS Analytic in Boulder, Colorado. And that's it. Stay tuned to this channel, and I'll have more updates about Oregon after I hear more about it and see if any of these licenses get approved or whatever. I thought about when I first did the report about Oregon earlier this year, I thought, well, is this going to be another liquor control board takeover or what? And so far it don't look like it. So far it looks like the dispensaries are still selling marijuana to recreational or whatever. So we'll see. Subscribe and find out later.